Cringe Leaks, thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Can this nudity thing apply to stuff like art, like a nude slash horny statue is public or something like a risque character design for video games? Well, we do have like ratings on video games for like what, like M rated, T rated, that kind of stuff. For like art, I maintain there's a difference between like a person being nude in public, a human being being nude in public, and like a painting of a human being nude. Like there's a really, really big difference to me in that. The main one being interactive, okay? Because the potential for abuse with a painting is zero. It's just a painting of a nude person. That's it. That's the only thing that it can be. But there are a million ways that a nude person in public can make people uncomfortable. And you all know that, okay? You all know that. If you guys are walking down a main city street and you see like a big Renaissance art painting of like a woman naked covering her breasts, and you see like a person in real life just standing there naked, like those are two very, very different things, you know? Like these are, you know, this. These are situations that immediately warrant different responses. Like, yeah, like very, very different type of deal. Yeah. What should age limits be for certain types of content? Like, what child actually followed the PG-13 rating? Nobody actually follows those ratings, and I don't think you like break a kid's brain if a kid sees a tit in a movie or anything like that. I'm only talking about like IRL discourse and the potential for uh normalizing, you know, or making appropriate for kids in those spaces. Also, keep in mind there's a really, really big difference between the statement a child's brain is harmed by seeing a naked tit, and it's inappropriate to have your tits out at a kid's venue. Those are two very different. Inappropriateness is culturally determined. It's not the same level. Like for example, I'm an adult. I'm not harmed by seeing a guy masturbating on the subway at all. I don't have any trauma that's triggered by it. I don't have any like particular aversion to the human body. I even like dicks, so you know, you'd think there'd even be a bias there. But I still don't think that's appropriate at all. Even if it doesn't hurt me, I still don't think it's okay to do. So we're not talking about whether or not the kid is harmed. We're talking about whether it's appropriate. Um, does that make sense? I feel I okay, I just want to say yeah, you just don't do that in public. Just do it while looking at hentai like all other normal human beings. Do you have a nervous leg, or why do you always look like you're riding a horse? Oh, I bounce my leg. Um, yeah. That makes sense though, right? Like, I think that makes sense. Are we doing any more segments today? Yes, we are. We're just chilling a little bit. We're chilling, okay? We're chilling, we're grilling. We're a midnight toker, okay? You have a horse down there? Yeah, if only. Um, yeah, but it's just differences contextually in how this stuff goes. I'm sure you all understand. But in terms of what's acceptable to show to kids, I think that if you're a responsible parent, most stuff kids can experience. Like, I'm trying to think of all the video games that I've played. Which video games would I not want? Are we talking like 13 years old or 10 years old or something? Let's say 10, because 13 I feel like if you're 13 years old and your parent is raised you well, you should be able to handle pretty much any medium. Um, like playing Doom or I don't know, uh, a video game or whatever. So let's say 10. Um, 10. I'm trying to think. GTA definitely has some content that's not appropriate for under 12s. The thing is, what's inappropriate for kids feels really contextual to me because I would rather have my kid play GTA San Andreas offline than play GTA 5 online. In fact, I feel like I'm more comfortable with my kid playing an M-rated game than them being on Discord. Like, I actually think that exposure to other humans online is significantly worse for people's brain than I actually think that for a 10-year-old, I would be more comfortable letting them play literally like any video game offline, like horror games, violent game, even games with like sexual content than I would have them be online, like going on Reddit or Twitter or whatever. I think I believe that. Yeah. I feel like the internet just shouldn't be accessible to kids. Maybe this is me being like, I don't know, prudish or something, but because when I was a really young kid, when I was in like middle school, the only online stuff, okay, 2011 was when I graduated from high school. So back in like middle school or elementary school, that would have been like 8 years before, so 2003, 2004. Back in those days, yeah, you had like MySpace and stuff. I used AOL Messenger. If I wanted to talk to somebody, I had to like share email addresses to use them with like the AOL Messenger thing. And like your ability to interact with people, yeah, MSN as well, was really, really limited. Like your ability to meet new people back then was gate kept. Usually the way you met people was there would be a bunch of niche online forums for people with a particular hobby, and then you would like get to be friends with people from posts there, and then you would share like AIM messenger tags or whatever, and that kind of stuff, you know? And then you would like share and then you would talk that way. And I don't think I ever met like a groomer online when I was a kid, because when you're online, you're anonymous. Like nobody knows like age or gender unless you make it evident. I don't think I ever had an interaction with a person who was creepy until I got old enough that I was an adult and I was noticing other people doing it to other people. So maybe I didn't notice it when I was a kid. Um, I played a lot of WoW when I was a kid too. But my experiences with WoW, that World of Warcraft was the first time I had unrestricted access to a broader demographic of people talking. And my experiences there were just positive, actually. I actually have really fond memories of early WoW playing back during the beta and onward because people on were really, 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 really friendly. What the fuck is a WoW? World of Warcraft. People were really, really friendly. You would just like run around Durotar or like the Barrens or Ashenvale, and you'd chat with people in like /1, the general chat, and it was actually really, really cool. And everyone there was really friendly. I had like this little guild that they didn't do anything, but I remember when my pet guinea pig died, I was like really sad about it, but you could only mourn so much for one day. So afterwards I played a bit with them and they were just like really comforting, like, "Oh, that sucks, man." And they didn't really know my age or anything about me. They were just nice, you know? So that stuff's really, really good. The problem is the older the internet has gotten, the more consolidated it's gotten too, in every way imaginable. No longer do we have like these little miniature forums online that you have to like know a guy to know about. Now everything is Twitter, everything is Reddit, everything is Facebook, and there are subgroups and all these giga websites that contain all that stuff. And I feel like the predatory elements of the internet have only gotten more prominent with time. I don't have data on that, but I feel like that's true. Does anyone else feel that way? You know, that the internet is more replete with people, because the internet's done a lot of good stuff too. Like if you're a young gay kid or whatever, or like trans, then the internet's kind of vital for you because odds are your immediate community isn't very supportive and it gives you an opportunity to talk about some shit with people without like risking your IRL reputation with family and friends. And that's good. That's a good thing. Um I wonder how much of it is parasocial stuff too. Cuz was there somebody on stream recently who was talking about this? I feel like I was recently talking on stream with somebody like this. Or no, I was on a Prime K's debate panel a couple nights ago and I wasn't streaming. And there was somebody saying that if they had a kid, they would be more worried about their kid worshiping Jake Paul than they would their kid like watching porn at a young age. And that sounded really like always online at first to me, but I think in retrospect, that actually might be a good point. The parasocial thing fucking obliterates kids' brains, you know? Um, yeah, I like, but everything is geared after that now too, because it used to be like even with porn sites, when you went on a porn site, it was like these big aggregate sites that would pull photos and videos from other stuff, and that was it, you know? But now on the porn sites, there's like ads all the time, and it's like, "Hey, you're sexy. Come check out this chat link." And kids don't know shit. So I feel like a lot of the danger on the internet is convincing vulnerable people that people who don't care about them care about them. I think that's the most dangerous thing for kids because it feels like so much bad shit follows downhill from that. That's where grooming and parasocial relationships all stem from. It's this projected fake like friendship, which is really, and now there's all the conspiracism stuff too. Like if there was a kid, like if I had a son and he was 12 and he went online, could I teach him meaningfully the reason why flat earther arguments aren't valid? like meaningfully, not just tell him that it's wrong, but how well could I explain to him the ways in which it's necessary to think critically about information you're presented? Maybe you could get it on flat Earth, but what about vaccine denial? Or what about COVID denialism? Or what about Donald Trump, the election, that kind of stuff, you know? You know what I mean? That'd be really, really, really tough. Really, really tough to do. Not to mention all the like ways that people try to pull kids over to the conservative positions. Just don't reproduce, forehead. Well, I guess that does skip the problem, huh? If they're 12, it'd be easier than if they're like 15. There's one thing that I know for sure, and it's that if you're like under 10, you shouldn't have internet access. Or if you should, it's like Nintendo games, where like internet access is you play online games and like you have like 3 buttons and one is like, hi, you know, nice game. I'll better luck next time, like that kind of stuff, you know? I feel like that's, yeah. Damn, I think I underappreciate Nintendo systems. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like that's so valuable. Because for me, this has always been a pain in the ass. Like Nintendo Online, Omega LOL. Like, oh, they're multiplayer games, Omega LOL, you know? But I feel like if I was actually a parent, that would be like super, super valuable to me. You know? Yeah. I got exposed to fucked shit at 12. Kids should have restricted access. Yeah, and then there's like Pain Olympics or all the like Goatsy or whatever, like Syrian beheading videos or whatever shit you can find online these days, which kids will look up because they are curious. They will do anything and everything in their power to expose themselves to media they know you do not want them seeing. And really, a sufficiently intelligent and tech literate kid is never going to be deterred by blockers. There's always a way around them. I mean, I knew kids back in middle school who would install keyloggers on their parents' computer so that they could learn what the passwords were to unlock the parental protections on their computer because they knew their parent would save that info on their. So it's like, and this kid was like 11 or 12 or something. Like there's no way your average parent is going to be able to get around that stuff. If you're a tech literate parent, you probably could, but most parents aren't going to be. I genuinely don't know. I know this much though. When it comes to like what I'm afraid of my kids seeing, violent video games and movies is not it. That's so far from my concerns. Like that's so unimaginably far away from the stuff that would worry me, you know? And what are most M-rated games anyway? Most M-rated games are made for 12-year-olds anyway, like Call of Duty, like just, oh my god, there's a blood spray when you headshot. Oh god. Um, I think there actually is evidence that violent video games have a negative effect on young people if overexposed to it. It doesn't make them more violent. It makes them more desensitized to violence, which can have effects on other beliefs like, well, here's a contentious one. How bad do you think rape is? It doesn't make you say you have a game with a lot of like abuse or whatever. It doesn't make you more likely to rape people, but it may mean you're more dismissive of those experiences when they happen to other people and you hear about them. And that's not good at all. Yeah. Now, of course, that doesn't mean your kid should never see violent whatever. I feel like a lot of it can be countered with a really good education, though. I feel like I could do that with a kid. You know, I feel like I could educate a kid pretty well with that kind of stuff. You know, or maybe like play it with them a little bit. Feels like a stretch. No, there's data on it as far as I remember. I feel like if you educate well, like here's an example, right? Also, some violent games are not like other violent games. I would rather have a kid play a Resident Evil game than a Call of Duty game because Call of Duty not only it has a lot of like political overtones that I disagree with, but the violence is against humans, whereas in Resident Evil, I mean, you're killing zombies. Okay, everyone can get behind that. That's fairly uncontroversial conceptually, you know? Yeah, I think I think that would be like better. And you could like play it with them too. Yeah, like if you're I remember playing Resident Evil 4 with my younger brother. You guys remember RE4? I played it on stream before. Long time ago. Um and Resident Evil 4, you're fighting like zombie parasite dudes and you're in like some Spanish village or whatever, but it's a great, great, great game. And when I first got it, my parents got it for me because I did really good in school that year, and they promised me one M-rated game at the time. I must have been like 11 years old or 10, 12 years old or something. And my brother was like 7 or 8 at the time. My brother's about 4.5 years younger than me. And he would watch it with me. And I am and always have been a big baby. Stuff scares the shit out of me. It just always has. If anyone who watches my video game streams, you see, I just get startled really, really easily. So anyway, I was playing this, and my brother wanted to watch, and my parents didn't want my brother to watch because he was 7. They knew it was a violent game, but my parents didn't know. My parents didn't know that RE4 was a classic. I mean, they just, oh yeah, it's a zombie game, okay. But my brother would watch when my parents weren't home, and he would watch with me. And I remember, does anyone remember the beginning of RE4? Does anyone remember? Okay, where you fight the one zombie, and then you walk towards the village, and there are a couple of like shacks that you pass by with items in them, and in one of the shacks, one of the zombie villagers is pinned to the back wall with a pitchfork. The woman pinned the face by the face to the pitchfork to the wall, and you don't see it when you walk in. You walk in the shack, you grab a couple items, and then you turn around, and she's right there pinned. Now, that one spooked the shit out of me when I was a kid. I was like, oh, I'm scared, you know. My brother loved it, though. My brother loved it. And he was like, let's play more. And I was like, no, that's enough. And I'm like 2 minutes in the game. I'm an 11-year-old kid. My little brother was less of a beta baby than I was with that. Hold on. What about Dark Souls? Well, a kid probably wouldn't be able to do much in Dark Souls anyway, but Dark Souls, there's nothing in Dark Souls that I would think gives like an inappropriate message to a kid, right? Like, you like wander around castles fighting like monsters? Yeah, I mean, I guess there's blood when you hit things, but it's like gruesome looking, but yeah. Yeah, it's adult in other ways. It's not adult because it's like gratuitous. It's adult because its themes I think would only really be appreciated by. Also, it's pretty hard to play unless you're older. Yeah, kids wouldn't even get the existential despair. Kids are dumb, dude. When you finish Dark Souls for the first time, you're like, "Oh my god, it's all been meaningless. The cycle continues. There was no point to any of this. The cycle of light and dark continues unabetted by my actions. I am not but kindling for a flame." And the kid's just like, "I beat the beard man. I'm on fire. Ah!" You know? So I feel like the resonant themes really aren't gonna oh, it's good. It's good. Anyway, I don't know. If I ever had a kid, Berserk, I don't think kids should read that. Kids wouldn't want to read Berserk. Kids have trouble reading these days anyway, from all fucking overstimulated everyone is. I don't think kids tend to read comics that as much as they used to, at least. And Berserk is not an easy comic to read either. It's not bright and colorful. It's text dense, and like huge sections of it are dedicated to like large men frowning. It depends on how old we're talking. I don't think a 10-year-old would be interested in Berserk. Maybe like 14 or 15-year-old? I don't know. If you're 14 or 15, I guess it's fine, right? You sound like such a boomer when you complain kids don't read like they used to. Well, nobody does. Humans read less now than they used to. We have more types of media, which is fine. I'm not some book purist or anything like that. As long as people are consuming artistic medium that causes them to think and reflect in their life, then I think that's great. Yeah, I don't care if it's manga, if it's I don't care. I don't care what it is. I'm not a purist in any form. I will say this much though. Oh god, this is going to make me sound like a real boomer, okay? I do think there's value in types of media that encourage imagination. This can be reading. This can be playing Dungeons and Dragons. This can be a lot of stuff like that. Okay? who would disagree with that. Well, different types of media encourage different levels. When you're reading a book, you construct everything in your own mind, okay? When you're reading a book, I remember when I was a kid reading Aragon, which was like a fun, like poppy, a high fantasy adventure story, written by a kid, by the way. Very good writing for a kid. A lot of ideas in there that I liked. But anyway, um, it's shit now. No, I don't mean I just mean the books. And anyway, I remember reading that back when I was a kid, and the world you construct when you're reading is just so visceral. I've also been reading lately Lovecraft because I love everything that's been inspired by him, so I may as well. And a lot of the writing hasn't dated very well. There are, maybe had a few political disagreements. But like Shadow over Innsmouth, can I get like a segment do you mind if I read a passage really, really quickly? I just want to let me see if I can find like a good a very descriptive paragraph, if I would. Hold on. Chapter select. This has turned into a book club. Oh, hush, hush, hush. Just let me see if I can find something. Because the thing that oh, here we go. Okay, here. I'm just going to read 2 paragraphs, okay? The reason why I'm doing this is because I want you to like think about what you're hearing and I want you to imagine it, okay? Is that fine? What's wrong with book clubs? Just listen for a second, please, okay? Now, if this was a comic, you would just be given an image. If this was an animation, you would just be given an image. But this is what's described, okay? So, the protagonist is looking now at a little museum exhibit. It took no excessive sensitiveness to beauty to make me literally gasp at the strange, unearthly splendor of the alien opulent fantasy that rested there on the purple velvet cushion. Even now I can hardly describe what I saw, though it was clearly enough a sort of tiara, as the description had said. It was tall in front, with a very large and curiously irregular periphery, as if designed for a head of almost freakishly elliptical outline. The material seemed to be predominantly gold, though a weird, lighter lustrousness hinted at some strange alloy with an equally beautiful and scarcely identifiable metal. Its condition was almost perfect, and one could have spent hours in studying the striking and puzzling untraditional designs, some simply geometric, others plainly marine, chased or molded in high relief on its surface with a craftsmanship of incredible skill and grace. The longer I looked, the more the thing fascinated me, and in this fascination there was a curiously disturbing element hardly to be classified or accounted for. At first I decided it was the queer otherworldly quality of the art which had made me uneasy. All other art objects I had ever seen either belonged to some known national stream or were either consciously modernistic defiances of every recognized stream. This tiara was neither. It clearly belonged to some settled technique of infinite maturity and perfection, yet that technique was utterly remote from any, Eastern or Western, ancient or modern, which I had ever seen or seen exemplified. It was as if the workmanship were that of another planet. We're almost done now. However, I soon saw that my uneasiness had a second and perhaps equally potent source residing in the pictorial and mathematical suggestion of the strange designs. The patterns all hinted of remote secrets and unimaginable abysses in time and space, and the monotonously aquatic nature of the reliefs became almost sinister. Among those reliefs were fabulous monsters of abhorrent grotesqueness and malignity, half ichthyaic and half batrachian in suggestion, which one could not dissociate from a certain haunting and uncomfortable sense of pseudo-memory, as if they called up some image from deep cells and tissues whose retentive functions were wholly primal and awesomely ancestral. At times I fancied that every contour of these blasphemous fish frogs was overflowing with the ultimate quintessence of unknown and inhuman evil. Now, I apologize for anyone who found that uninteresting, but I hope you can understand that if you were, let me get back to the page I was at previously, if you were just reading a comic or watching an animation, that would just be like, the shot would linger on that for a second. But that was good. And you thought, too, like when you're thinking, it's like, you're being led through the exploratory process of the author. Um, that was really long. Well, Lovecraft likes his descriptions. No, it wasn't. It was too self-indulgent. Well, regardless of your preferences for the particular writing style of Lovecraft, okay, I'm only pointing out that there are things that you get from imaginative media which you don't necessarily get from media which puts all the pieces in front of you. For an animation or a TV show or a movie or what have you, for the most part, everything you're looking at is right there in front of you. It's there. You're looking at it. But when you're reading something, you have to do a little bit of work yourself. Same with D&D. It's one of the reasons why I really, really, really like Dungeons and Dragons. You have that power. So anyway, I just think the kid should... Can you not slam the door?
I didn't mean to.
Just let it just grab the handle.
Dude, it was the wind.
The window's closed. The window's open? Yeah, no, I thought so. The wind. You're the wind.
It really, I didn't mean to.
I bet.
Okay, shut up.
Anyway, the point that I'm trying to get at is I think that you should encourage children to develop their imaginations because I think it's healthy for them. And it's one of the reasons why Dungeons and Dragons is cool, I think. Okay, are we good? Did we do it?